Have you ever wondered what secrets still lie hidden beneath the sands of Egypt? For thousands of years, the land of the pharaohs has guarded mysteries that continue to baffle scientists, explorers, and dreamers alike. From the towering pyramids that defy logic, to the half-buried Sphinx staring silently across the desert, to forgotten tombs that may still be waiting to be found, Egypt is a puzzle the world has yet to solve. In this journey, we will uncover astonishing truths and chilling legends. How was the Great Pyramid really built? Who carved the Sphinx, and for what purpose? Are there hidden chambers still undiscovered inside the pyramids? Did the pharaohs truly leave behind a deadly curse? We'll explore the Valley of the Kings, the secrets of mummification, the lost city once called Egypt's Atlantis, and even the mystery of Queen Nefertiti's final resting place. Piece by piece, we will unlock the Rosetta Stone of history itself. Welcome to an adventure across time, where every stone whispers a secret and every shadow hides a story. This is not just history, it's the greatest mystery on Earth. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most astonishing creations in human history. Built over 500 years ago during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, it is the largest and oldest of the three pyramids on the Giza Plateau. In its original form, the pyramid was covered with gleaming white limestone casing stones that reflected the desert sun so brightly that it could be seen from miles away. Though today it looks weathered, in ancient times it was a dazzling beacon of power and divine authority. This masterpiece of architecture is the only surviving wonder of the seven wonders of the ancient world, and it remains a symbol of both Egypt's grandeur and human determination. Originally standing at 146.6 meters, 481 feet, it has lost a few meters due to erosion and the stripping of outer stones, yet it still dominates the Giza skyline. Its base spans more than 13 acres and consists of about 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. One of the most fascinating aspects is its near-perfect alignment with the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. Achieving such accuracy without modern instruments continues to puzzle scientists and historians. It is believed the construction spanned about 20 years, requiring tens of thousands of workers, from laborers to skilled craftsmen, united under Khufu's vision. When people imagine the construction of the Great Pyramid, the most common image is of slaves dragging stones under the whip of overseers. However, modern archaeology paints a very different picture. Evidence from workers' villages near Giza suggests that the pyramid was not built by slaves, but by a large workforce of Egyptian laborers who were well-fed and organized. These workers lived in nearby camps that functioned almost like small cities, with bakeries, breweries, workshops, and even medical facilities. They were rotated seasonally, possibly during the annual Nile floods when farming was impossible, which means the Pyramid Project also acted as a national employment program. The scale of organization required was extraordinary. Teams were divided into crews of about 20 men, further split into smaller groups. Each group was responsible for quarrying, transporting, and positioning stones with incredible precision. Skilled artisans carved inscriptions, smoothed surfaces, and ensured each block fit seamlessly with the next. The project became a symbol of unity, reflecting Pharaoh Khufu's absolute power and the collective dedication of an entire nation. The pyramid's logistics also reveal Egypt's remarkable engineering skills. Wooden sledges were used to drag massive blocks across prepared tracks, while water was poured on sand to reduce friction, making transportation easier. Such methods demonstrate the Egyptians' genius for practical solutions without advanced machine. Moving the gigantic limestone and granite blocks remains one of the greatest puzzles of ancient engineering. Some of the stones weighed more than 70 tons and had to be transported from quarries located many kilometers away. Archaeologists believe that a combination of ramps, sledges, and manpower was used. Long, straight ramps of mud brick and limestone chippings may have extended from the base up the sides as the pyramid grew taller. Another theory suggests a spiraling ramp built around the structure, allowing workers to haul blocks upward in stages. Recent discoveries provide even more clues. In 2013, a set of ancient papyri known as the Diary of Mirror was found at the Red Sea. It recorded the daily activities of an official in charge of transporting limestone blocks from the quarries at Tura to Giza by boat along the Nile and its canals. This evidence confirms that waterways played a crucial role in the supply chain, enabling heavy stones to reach the construction site more efficiently than overland. The organization, logistics, and use of natural resources demonstrate not just brute force, but an advanced understanding of engineering. The Egyptians may not have had wheels, iron tools, or modern cranes, but through clever planning and collective effort, they managed to achieve what still amazes the world today. Beyond the logistics of moving stones, the construction of the Great Pyramid reveals remarkable planning and precision. Each side originally measured about 230 meters, and the base covered over 13 acres. Yet the difference in length between sides is less than 5 centimeters, a level of accuracy hard to achieve even with modern tools. The pyramid also aligns almost perfectly with the 4 cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. This precision raises questions about how ancient Egyptians could calculate with such accuracy. Some believe they used the stars, especially the North Star and Orion's belt, as celestial guides. Inside, the design is equally fascinating. The pyramid was not a solid mass, but contained passages, chambers, and relieving blocks engineered to distribute weight. The king's chamber, built from massive granite blocks, has a unique corbelled ceiling that prevents collapse despite the immense pressure above. The Grand Gallery, a sloping passageway, showcases the builder's mastery of geometry and balance. These architectural achievements suggest that the pyramid was not only a tomb, but also a symbolic structure representing both the pharaoh's divine power and the Egyptians' cosmic knowledge. The harmony between architecture, astronomy, and religious belief makes the Great Pyramid far more than just a pile of stones. It was a message to eternity. After more than 500 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza still towers over the desert, a monument to human ambition and ingenuity. It has endured earthquakes, looting, and the erosion of time. Yet it continues to stand as a symbol of ancient Egypt's power. For Pharaoh Khufu, it was meant to be a gateway to the afterlife, ensuring his name and soul would live forever. In that goal, the pyramid succeeded. Today his memory endures because of this masterpiece of stone. The workers who built it may not have known their efforts would last millennia, but their achievement remains unmatched. Unlike many ancient monuments that crumbled, the Great Pyramid still captures imaginations. Modern engineers and scientists study it not just to understand history, but also to learn lessons about durability, organization, and design. At the same time, its mysteries keep it alive in popular culture. Hidden chambers, perfect alignment with the stars, and unexplained voids discovered by modern scans remind us that secrets still remain inside. Perhaps new technology will one day uncover all the answers. Or perhaps part of its magic lies in the fact that some questions will never be solved. The Great Pyramid is more than stone upon stone. It is a bridge between past and present, earth and sky, faith and reason. It tells us that human beings, when united by vision and determination, can achieve wonders that outlast empires and even time itself. Looming silently beside the Great Pyramid stands another enigma of ancient Egypt, the Great Sphinx of Giza. With the body of a lion and the head of a human, this colossal statue has fascinated travelers, historians, and archaeologists for centuries. Measuring about 73 meters long and 20 meters high, it is carved directly from the limestone bedrock of the Giza Plateau, making it the largest monolithic statue in the world. Yet for all its grandeur, the Sphinx raises more questions than it answers. Who built it? And why? Most scholars believe the Sphinx was commissioned by Pharaoh Khafre, the son of Khufu, around 2500 BCE. The face of the statue, though weathered, is thought to resemble Khafre himself, portraying the king as both ruler and guardian. Positioned at the entrance of his pyramid complex, the Sphinx may have served as a symbolic protector of the tombs, a divine sentinel watching over the necropolis. But alternative theories exist. Some suggest it may have been started earlier, during Khufu's reign, or even before. Others argue that erosion patterns on the body hint at a much older date, possibly thousands of years earlier than traditional Egyptology claims. Whatever its origin, the statue's form carries deep symbolic meaning. The lion represented strength and power, while the human head symbolized wisdom and divine authority. Together, the Sphinx embodied the idea of the pharaoh as a godlike being who ruled with both might and intelligence. The Great Sphinx is not only mysterious because of its origin, but also because of its condition. Over the centuries, the statue has suffered from erosion, vandalism, and even deliberate destruction. The most noticeable damage is its missing nose, which has fueled countless myths. Some legends claim that Napoleon's soldiers used it for target practice in the 18th century, but sketches from earlier travelers prove the nose was gone long before. Others suggest it was broken off by religious extremists who viewed the statue as a pagan idol. Whatever the truth, the Sphinx's damaged face has become part of its mystique. Another curious detail lies in its proportions. The head appears slightly small compared to the massive lion's body, leading some researchers to believe that the head may have been recarved at some point. If true, the original head might have been that of a lion, later reshaped into the likeness of a pharaoh. This theory would push the monument's origins even further back in time, supporting claims that the Sphinx predates Khafre. Despite centuries of decay, the Sphinx has never lost its aura of mystery. Ancient Egyptians themselves regarded it with reverence. They called it Hu, meaning the guardian, and built temples near its paws where offerings were left to honor the sun god. To them, the statue was not just stone, it was a living symbol of divine power. Legends surrounding the Sphinx are as fascinating as the statue itself. Ancient texts from the New Kingdom period tell of Pharaoh Thutmose IV, who as a young prince fell asleep in the shadow of the Sphinx. According to the dream tale, an inscription placed between its paws, the Sphinx appeared to him in a vision and promised kingship if he cleared away the sand that had buried its body. Thutmose obeyed, restored the monument, and later became pharaoh, crediting his rise to the divine power of the Sphinx. This story reveals how deeply the statue was woven into Egyptian belief, acting as a bridge between gods and kings. The Sphinx also carried astronomical significance. Some scholars suggest its eastward gaze aligns with the rising sun at the spring equinox, symbolizing rebirth and cosmic order. To the Egyptians, such alignments were never accidental. They reflected the eternal harmony between the heavens and the pharaoh's earthly reign. Even in later eras, the Sphinx inspired awe. Greek travelers like Herodotus described it with wonder, though even then much of its origin had been forgotten. By the time of the Romans, its purpose was already a riddle, shrouded in myth. This forgetting only added to the aura of mystery, transforming the Sphinx from a monument into a timeless enigma that has puzzled every generation since. Modern science has added new layers to the mystery of the Great Sphinx. In the 20th century, geologists noticed unusual erosion patterns on its body. Unlike the wind-driven weathering seen elsewhere on the Giza Plateau, the Sphinx shows signs of water erosion, deep vertical grooves that suggest heavy rainfall. Since the region has been desert for thousands of years, some researchers propose that the monument might be far older than Khafre's time, possibly dating back to an era when Egypt experienced a wetter climate. This controversial theory, if true, would rewrite history as we know it. Archaeologists have also used modern technology to peer inside and beneath the statue. Ground-penetrating radar and seismic surveys suggest there may be hidden chambers or cavities under the Sphinx's paws and body. While mainstream Egyptologists remain cautious, many wonder if undiscovered tunnels could connect the Sphinx to nearby temples, or even to the pyramids themselves. Restoration efforts continue as well. Over the centuries, The monument was repeatedly repaired with blocks of stone to prevent collapse. Today, preservation teams battle erosion, pollution, and rising groundwater that threaten its stability. Despite these challenges, the Sphinx endures, its enigmatic gaze fixed firmly on the horizon, as if guarding secrets it will never fully reveal. After centuries of speculation, the Great Sphinx of Giza remains a monument of unanswered questions. Was it truly built by Pharaoh Khafre as most scholars believe? Or does its weathered body hint at a civilization lost to history? Was the head always that of a king? Or once a lion, later reshaped to honor a ruler? These uncertainties keep the statue alive in our imagination, as every new generation finds fresh mysteries within its silent gaze. What we do know is that the Sphinx is more than stone, it is a cultural icon that has shaped myths across ages. To the ancient Egyptians, it was a guardian tied to the sun god Ra. To the Greeks, it symbolized riddles and hidden truths. To modern seekers, it represents the allure of the unknown. Each culture has seen in the Sphinx a reflection of its deepest questions about life, death, and eternity. Today, millions of visitors travel to Giza not just to marvel at its size, but to stand before its ageless face and feel the weight of time pressing down from 4.5 millennia. The Sphinx teaches us that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but cherished. Its silence speaks louder than words, reminding humanity that our quest for knowledge is endless, and that even the greatest civilizations leave behind puzzles that defy easy answers. The Great Pyramid of Giza is already one of the most studied monuments in the world, yet it still guards secrets that continue to puzzle modern science. Ancient builders left behind no blueprints, no construction records, and no clear explanations of the internal layout. What we see today is only part of the story. Beneath the familiar corridors and burial chambers may lie hidden passageways, undiscovered rooms, and forgotten treasures. The pyramid's interior is already complex. It contains the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, and the mysterious grand gallery. But many Egyptologists believe these spaces are only a fraction of what might exist. Ancient texts hint that the pyramids were designed not just as tombs, but also as symbolic gateways to the afterlife. If true, then hidden chambers could hold ritual objects, secret archives, or even mummies that remain untouched for thousands of years. Modern technology has given new hope to these theories. In recent years, scientists have used thermal imaging and cosmic ray scans to detect anomalies within the Great Pyramid. These scans revealed large voids above the Grand Gallery spaces that have never been entered. While their purpose remains unknown, the discovery has reignited global excitement, proving that even after 500 years, the pyramids have not yet revealed all their secrets. One of the most fascinating discoveries about the Great Pyramid came in 2017, when an international team of researchers used a technology called muon radiography. By studying cosmic particles that pass through stone, they were able to see inside the pyramid without drilling or damaging the structure. To everyone's surprise, the scans revealed a massive void above the Grand Gallery, roughly the same size as the chamber itself. This hidden space had gone undetected for thousands of years. But what is it? Some experts argue that the void might simply be a structural feature, designed to reduce pressure on the internal passages. Others suggest it could be an undiscovered chamber, deliberately concealed by the builders. If so, it might still hold funerary items, sacred texts, or even hidden knowledge about ancient Egyptian rituals. The discovery sparked debates across the world. For centuries, treasure hunters and archaeologists alike have searched for secret rooms, but modern science finally gave evidence that such spaces truly exist. However, the challenge remains. How can we explore them without damaging the pyramid? Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities has so far chosen caution, preferring not to drill or break into the void until safer methods are developed. For now, the secret remains sealed in darkness, waiting for the day when human curiosity and technology unlock it. The idea of hidden chambers inside the pyramids is not new. Ancient Arab historians once wrote of secret passages filled with treasures, guarded by curses. During the Middle Ages, explorers tried tunneling into the Great Pyramid, often leaving damage that can still be seen today. Yet despite centuries of effort, no one ever found the legendary Hall of Records that myths claimed lay beneath the sands of Giza. Modern researchers, however, believe such myths may have some basis in truth. Beneath the pyramid lies a subterranean chamber cut directly into the bedrock. Its purpose is still a mystery. Was it an unfinished burial chamber, or a symbolic entrance to the underworld? Some scholars think it may have been the earliest part of the construction, a kind of foundation for the spiritual design of the entire monument. Even more intriguing are the small shafts discovered in the Queen's chamber. Robotic cameras sent inside revealed tiny doors with copper handles, as if sealing something behind them. What lies beyond is still unknown, since the doors remain unopened. Could they lead to hidden corridors or ritual objects buried by the builders? Or are they simply symbolic features meant to align with the stars? These unanswered questions continue to fuel both serious archaeology and wild speculation, keeping the mystery of the pyramids alive. Some researchers believe the hidden spaces inside the pyramids were never meant for human eyes at all. To the ancient Egyptians, the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a cosmic machine designed to guide the pharaoh's soul to the afterlife. In this view, the secret chambers could be symbolic spaces representing the journey of the soul through the heavens. The shafts leading out of the queen's and king's chambers, for example, align with specific stars. Orion linked to Osiris, and Sirius linked to the goddess Isis. These alignments suggest that the builders deliberately encoded religious and astronomical knowledge into the stone itself. Practical theories also exist. Some archaeologists argue that the mysterious voids and shafts may have been construction features, designed to lighten the structure or provide air for workers. But if that were true, why seal them so carefully? Why add copper-handled doors that seem more ritual than practical? The deliberate craftsmanship suggests purpose beyond engineering. What makes the mystery so powerful is the silence of the builders. No hieroglyphic inscriptions explain the design, leaving modern science to guess at intentions. Every new discovery deepens the enigma. Are we uncovering engineering tricks, or glimpsing spiritual secrets lost to time? Until exploration can go further, the pyramids keep their answers locked in stone. The search for hidden chambers inside the pyramids is far from over. Each generation brings new tools: thermal imaging, muon scanning, micro-robots that allow us to see what was once impossible. Yet, despite the progress, the Great Pyramid still guards its secrets with silent defiance. Every discovery seems to open more questions than it answers. Are the voids structural tricks or sacred rooms? Do the sealed shafts hide forgotten relics? Or are they only symbolic pathways for the soul? What makes this mystery so compelling is its timelessness. For 500 years, people have gazed at the pyramids and wondered what lies within. Ancient priests, medieval explorers, and modern scientists have all been driven by the same curiosity. And still, the answers remain just out of reach. Perhaps that is the true genius of the pyramids. They were designed not only to honor the pharaohs, but to inspire awe across ages. Standing before the Great Pyramid today, visitors sense that feeling: a monument too vast to fully understand, too precise to dismiss as coincidence. Hidden chambers may one day be uncovered. But even then, the pyramids will likely keep some mysteries untouched. They remind us that human knowledge is always incomplete, and that some secrets of the ancients were meant to echo forever through time. Few legends from ancient Egypt are as chilling as the so-called Curse of the Pharaohs. According to popular belief, anyone who dares to disturb a pharaoh's tomb will be struck by misfortune, illness, or even death. The story has fascinated the world for more than a century, feeding books, films, and endless conspiracy theories. But where did this idea actually begin? The legend gained worldwide fame in 1922, when British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Soon after the opening, Lord Carnarvon, Carter's wealthy sponsor, died unexpectedly from an infected mosquito bite. Newspapers rushed to blame the curse, claiming ancient spirits had taken revenge on those who disturbed the boy king's rest. Reports of mysterious accidents, strange illnesses, and sudden deaths among those connected to the excavation added fuel to the fire. However, the notion of a curse existed even earlier. Ancient Egyptians believed tombs were sacred spaces, protected by both physical traps and spiritual warnings. Inscriptions on some burial sites threatened anyone who entered with punishment from the gods. While these warnings may have been symbolic rather than literal, they helped create the foundation of the curse legend. But is the curse real, or simply a mix of coincidence, myth, and human imagination? That question has haunted Egyptology ever since. After Lord Carnarvon's death, the media went into a frenzy. Sensational headlines screamed that death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. The public loved the drama, and soon every accident linked to Tutankhamun's tomb was blamed on the curse. One archaeologist's sudden illness, another's unexpected accident, even a pet canary eaten by a cobra, everything was folded into the legend. But when historians examined the facts, the curse looked less convincing. Howard Carter himself, the man who spent years inside the tomb, lived for almost 2 decades after the discovery. Many members of his team also survived long, healthy lives. Statistically, there was no unusual pattern of early deaths compared to other archaeologists of the time. Scientists have offered more practical explanations. Some suggest that sealed tombs may contain dangerous molds, bacteria, or toxins built up over centuries. Breathing in these spores can make explorers sick, creating the illusion of a curse. Others argue that human imagination and media exaggeration played the biggest role, turning coincidences into a supernatural story. Yet, despite the evidence, the legend refuses to die. The idea of a mystical curse captures our fear of the unknown and our respect for ancient powers. Whether real or not, it keeps Tutankhamun's tomb one of the most mysterious discoveries in history. To understand why the curse of the pharaohs became so powerful, we must look at ancient Egyptian beliefs about death. For them, the tomb was not just a grave, it was a gateway to eternity. Inside, priests placed spells from the Book of the Dead, magical texts meant to protect the soul on its journey through the afterlife. These spells sometimes included warnings. Intruders would be cursed, struck down, or erased from existence by the gods. Archaeologists have found inscriptions like these on several tombs, especially those of high officials and priests. One reads, "All people who enter this tomb uninvited will be struck by the crocodile, the hippopotamus, and the lion." Such warnings were less about frightening future archaeologists and more about discouraging ancient grave robbers. Tomb robbery was common, even thousands of years ago, and curses served as a psychological barrier. Over time, these ancient warnings mixed with modern superstition. When Carter opened Tutankhamun's tomb, journalists and the public were already fascinated with the idea of curses. The timing of Carnarvon's death fit the story perfectly, and the legend grew overnight. In reality, ancient Egyptians likely never imagined a global curse on anyone disturbing their tombs. But their inscriptions and our imaginations created a myth that still haunts the modern world. The curse gained further momentum as stories spread beyond Tutankhamun. Tourists visiting Egypt claimed to feel sudden dizziness, fear, or even nightmares after entering tombs. Writers and filmmakers quickly seized the idea, turning it into one of the most popular themes in modern culture. From early novels in the 19th century to Hollywood films like The Mummy, the Pharaoh's curse became a symbol of ancient mystery and danger. But serious scholars point out that no scientific evidence supports a supernatural force. Instead, they emphasize more rational causes. Tombs sealed for thousands of years may contain toxic air, laced with mold spores or poisonous gases. Entering without protection could cause breathing problems, infections, or long-term health issues. When explorers fell sick, it was easy to mistake these effects for a curse. Another factor was stress. Excavating a royal tomb was a dangerous, exhausting task under extreme conditions. Combined with media hype, even ordinary illnesses seemed mysterious. Carnarvon's death, for example, was most likely the result of poor medical treatment rather than a divine punishment. Still, the idea of a curse continues to attract millions of visitors to Egypt. Paradoxically, what may have begun as ancient warnings to deter thieves has become one of the greatest marketing legends in history, keeping Egypt's past alive in global imagination. So, is the curse of the pharaohs myth or reality? The evidence leans strongly toward myth. Careful studies show no unusual death rate among those who entered Tutankhamun's tomb compared to their peers. Most of the victims lived long lives, and the supposed curse texts quoted by newspapers were never found inside the tomb itself. What really killed Carnarvon and others were ordinary causes, disease, accidents, or natural misfortune. Yet, dismissing the curse entirely would ignore its deeper meaning. Ancient Egyptians truly believed in protecting their dead, both physically and spiritually. Their inscriptions, amulets, and rituals reflected a worldview where the living and the afterlife were connected. In a sense, the modern curse reflects our attempt to respect that ancient belief, even if we express it in dramatic, supernatural terms. The legend also reveals more about us than about them. Humans are drawn to mysteries, and the idea of a deadly curse taps into universal fears of death and the unknown. That's why the story refuses to die, even in the age of science. In the end, the curse of the pharaohs is both myth and reality. Not a magical death sentence, but a cultural force powerful enough to shape history, media, and imagination for over a century. The pharaohs may be gone, but their curse still rules our minds. For most people, ancient Egypt is instantly linked with mummies. Wrapped in linen and resting in ornate coffins, these preserved bodies have fascinated the world for centuries. But behind the mystery of mummification lies a complex process that science still struggles to fully understand. Mummification was not simply about preserving a body, it was about preparing for eternity. Ancient Egyptians believed the soul needed a physical vessel to live forever in the afterlife. If the body decayed, the spirit would be lost. Thus, mummification became a sacred art, combining ritual, science, and religion. The process began soon after death. Priests carefully removed internal organs, which were stored separately in canopic jars, each protected by a different deity. Strangely, the heart was sometimes left inside, while the brain was often discarded, a mystery that still puzzles scholars. Next, the body was dried using a natural salt called natron, which absorbed moisture and prevented decay. This drying phase could last up to 40 days. Afterward, the body was wrapped in hundreds of yards of linen, layer upon layer, often with amulets and charms hidden within for spiritual protection. What makes mummification truly fascinating is that despite centuries of study, scientists cannot fully replicate its success. Even with modern technology, the exact methods used by ancient embalmers remain partly unknown. Mummification was not the same for everyone. The level of care and detail often depended on wealth and status. Pharaohs and nobles received the most elaborate treatments, with bodies preserved almost perfectly. Ordinary citizens, however, might undergo simpler versions or none at all. This difference shows how deeply social class shaped even the journey to the afterlife. The ritual was more than science. It was steeped in symbolism. Each step had spiritual meaning. When organs were removed, they were placed in 4 canopic jars guarded by the sons of Horus, powerful protective deities. The wrapping of linen wasn't just practical, it represented rebirth, like a cocoon transforming the dead into an eternal being. Priests often recited spells from the Book of the Dead during the process, ensuring the soul would navigate the dangers of the afterlife. Amulets shaped like scarabs, ankhs, or eyes of Horus were tucked between wrappings, believed to grant protection, power, or resurrection. Yet, mysteries remain. Why was the brain, the organ we consider essential, usually destroyed? Some historians suggest Egyptians saw the heart, not the brain, as the center of thought and soul. But the exact reasoning is still debated. This shows how much we still don't know about their beliefs and methods. One of the most intriguing aspects of mummification is the remarkable preservation achieved thousands of years ago. Some mummies still have hair, skin, and even tattoos visible after more than 3 millennia. Scientists have tried to replicate the process using modern chemistry, but none have achieved the same long-term success as the ancient embalmers. Recent studies, using CT scans and chemical analysis, have revealed secrets hidden in the wrappings. Traces of resins, oils, and even rare imported substances like cedarwood and frankincense were discovered. These materials had antibacterial properties, suggesting Egyptians possessed advanced knowledge of preservation techniques. Even more surprising, different regions of Egypt used slightly different recipes, hinting that embalming was not one single formula but a collection of evolving practices passed down for centuries. Despite this, many details remain a mystery. How did embalmers know the exact mixtures to prevent decay? Did they discover them through trial and error? Or were these sacred formulas believed to be gifts from the gods? Some scholars think priests guarded these secrets closely, making them almost impossible to recover fully today. In short, every new scientific test deepens the mystery. The Egyptians clearly knew something we still don't, turning mummification into one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles. Mummification was never just about science, it was also a journey of faith. The Egyptians believed death was not an end, but a transition to another realm. Every ritual during mummification was designed to help the deceased face judgment before Osiris, the god of the afterlife. One of the most sacred moments was the opening of the mouth ceremony. Priests touched the mummy's lips and eyes with ritual tools, symbolically restoring the senses so the soul could see, speak, and eat in the afterlife. Without this rite, the spirit risked being mute and powerless. The elaborate tomb paintings and burial goods often found alongside mummies also reinforced these beliefs. Food, jewelry, weapons, and even servants in the form of Shabtai figurines were placed in tombs to serve the deceased in eternity. These practices reveal a worldview where life after death was simply a continuation of earthly existence, but on a divine scale. What is most fascinating is how consistent these rituals remained for over 2,000 years. Civilizations rose and fell, but the art of mummification endured, refined, respected, and deeply tied to Egyptian identity. Even today, the presence of a mummy evokes awe, as though the person has truly defied time itself. The art of mummification remains one of the greatest enigmas of ancient Egypt. Thousands of years later, their techniques still surpass much of what modern science can achieve. While CT scans and chemical analysis provide clues, the complete formula remains lost, guarded by time, secrecy, and ritual. Mummies themselves are more than preserved bodies. They are living testimonies of a civilization obsessed with eternity. Each wrapped figure carries stories of devotion, fear, and hope. They reveal a people who refuse to accept death as final, instead crafting a science of immortality that blended medicine, religion, and magic. Even today, when scientists examine these remains, they uncover new layers of knowledge, diseases from the past, diets of ancient rulers, and even genetic links between civilizations. Yet, the deeper the research goes, the more questions arise. Why discard the brain? How did they master antimicrobial techniques? Were some recipes gifts of foreign trade or divine secrets? Perhaps the true power of mummification lies not in its science, but in its mystery. The Egyptians achieved what we still dream of: defying time. And every preserved face reminds us that death was never the end for them, but a doorway to forever. Hidden in the desert cliffs near Luxor lies one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in the world, the Valley of the Kings. Unlike the pyramids, this was not a place to show grandeur on the surface. Instead, it was designed as a secret resting ground for pharaohs and nobles of the New Kingdom, buried deep underground to protect them from looters. From the outside, the valley looks barren and unassuming. But beneath the rocky hills lie over 60 tombs, some stretching hundreds of feet with intricate passageways and hidden chambers. Each tomb tells a story not just of death, but of the Egyptians' obsession with eternity. The valley became the royal cemetery around 1500 BCE, during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose I. From that point on, nearly every ruler of the New Kingdom from mighty Ramses II to the boy king Tutankhamun was laid to rest here. Unlike earlier pyramids, which were visible targets for robbers, the valley's hidden tombs were meant to guard treasures and secrets forever. Yet, despite this careful planning, most tombs were looted in antiquity. Gold, jewels, and priceless artifacts vanished. But what remains is even more astonishing. Walls covered with vibrant paintings and hieroglyphs, guiding the pharaoh's soul through the afterlife. The Valley of the Kings was more than a cemetery, it was a spiritual map. Every tomb was carefully decorated with texts and images from sacred books such as the Book of the Dead, the Amduat, and the Book of Gates. These writings were not meant for the living, but for the deceased pharaoh, guiding him through the dangerous journey of the underworld. Walls glowed with scenes of gods and monsters, rivers of fire, and stars that lit the eternal sky. The pharaoh's soul was expected to face trials, answer divine questions, and ultimately be judged by Osiris, Lord of the afterlife. Only if he passed would he join the gods and live forever. Some tombs were vast labyrinths with multiple chambers, hidden shafts, and false doors to confuse would-be intruders. Others were smaller, yet just as richly decorated. The artistry is astonishing. Even after more than 30 years, the colors remain vivid, as though the painters just finished their work yesterday. But alongside beauty, mysteries linger. Many tombs are unfinished, abruptly ending in rough-cut rock. Did the pharaoh die before completion? Or were workers rushed by political turmoil? These unfinished chambers hint at untold stories behind the valley's silent walls. The Valley of the Kings is also home to some of the most fascinating archaeological discoveries ever made. The most famous, of course, is Tutankhamun's tomb, uncovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. Unlike most others, it was almost completely intact, filled with golden treasures, furniture, and even the boy king's iconic burial mask. This single discovery reshaped our understanding of Egyptian history. But Tutankhamun's is not the only wonder. Tomb KV5, belonging to the sons of Ramses II, turned out to be the largest in the valley, with over 120 chambers discovered so far, and excavations are still ongoing. Imagine the scale, a hidden underground palace for princes, lost for thousands of years. Even empty tombs hold surprises. In some, archaeologists have found ancient graffiti left by workmen, joking about their labor or leaving prayers for protection. In others, small everyday objects like tools or pottery remain, giving glimpses into the lives of those who built these eternal homes. And then there are the secrets still buried. Ground-penetrating radar has hinted at unexplored cavities beneath the valley. Could these be more tombs, or hidden storage chambers filled with treasures? Each new discovery proves the Valley of the Kings is far from finished, revealing its mysteries. For all its grandeur, the Valley of the Kings also carries a darker side, stories of curses, theft, and restless spirits. Ancient records show that many tombs were robbed only decades after burial. Some priests even rewrapped mummies and hid them in secret caches to protect them from thieves. This is why several royal mummies, including Ramses II and Seti I, were later found in collective hiding places rather than their original tombs. Legends also grew around the valley. Locals whispered of spirits guarding the royal dead, and later explorers carried these tales to the modern world. When Tutankhamun's tomb was opened, the sudden deaths of several people connected to the excavation fueled the myth of a pharaoh's curse. While science often points to toxins or infections, the story of a curse still captures the imagination. Beyond myth, the valley reveals the struggles of ancient Egypt itself. Some tombs show hasty construction, perhaps due to political unrest or financial strain. Others contain reused materials, suggesting that even pharaohs faced limits on wealth and power. In this way, the valley is not just about divine eternity, it also reflects the very human challenges of an empire trying to preserve its legacy. Even today, the Valley of the Kings remains a living puzzle for archaeologists. New technologies such as 3D mapping, laser scanning, and radar surveys are uncovering details the naked eye cannot see. Tiny fragments of paint, dust, and carvings reveal stories about ancient rituals, construction methods, and even the daily lives of workers who labored in this sacred ground. One of the most intriguing modern mysteries is whether undiscovered tombs still lie hidden. Some researchers believe that the tomb of Queen Nefertiti may be concealed in a yet unexplored chamber near Tutankhamun's resting place. Others suggest that lesser-known pharaohs of the late New Kingdom are still waiting to be found. What makes the valley extraordinary is its balance of history, art, and mystery. It is not just a graveyard, it is a library carved into stone, preserving the Egyptians' most profound beliefs about life, death, and eternity. Every chamber, every symbol, every hidden shaft was designed with purpose, connecting the earthly realm to the divine. And as long as the Valley of the Kings continues to yield new discoveries, it reminds us that ancient Egypt's greatest secrets are not buried forever, they are simply waiting for the right moment to step back into the light. The sands of Egypt still hide secrets that could rewrite history. Among the greatest mysteries are the lost tombs of ancient pharaohs, burial places that, despite centuries of searching, remain undiscovered. While we know the locations of many rulers' resting places in the Valley of the Kings and elsewhere, several of the most important pharaohs of Egypt's golden age are still missing. One of the most famous examples is Pharaoh Ramses VIII, a ruler of the powerful 20th dynasty. Despite being a king, his tomb has never been located. Archaeologists suspect it may lie somewhere in the Valley of the Kings, hidden beneath layers of rubble or perhaps misidentified as another structure. His missing tomb continues to baffle researchers who expect a pharaoh of his stature to have received a grand burial. Equally mysterious is the search for Pharaoh Akhenaten's final resting place. Known as the heretic king who tried to force Egypt into worshipping a single god, Aten, Akhenaten's radical reforms made him controversial. His burial site has never been confirmed. Some scholars believe he may have been secretly reburied to erase his memory from history. These lost tombs raise tantalizing questions. What treasures might still be sealed inside? What stories of forgotten pharaohs are waiting to be uncovered? The answers may yet lie beneath the desert sands. One of the most persistent mysteries involves Queen Cleopatra VII and her lover, the Roman general Mark Antony. According to ancient writers, the two were buried together after their dramatic deaths in 30 BCE. Yet, their tomb has never been located. Archaeologists have searched across Alexandria, where their palace once stood, and in nearby temples such as Taposiris Magna. Some clues, statues, coins, and inscriptions suggest the royal couple may indeed lie there, but no chamber has yet been found. If discovered, their joint tomb could be one of the most sensational finds in history, blending the worlds of Egypt and Rome. Another lost tomb belongs to Pharaoh Thutmose II of the 18th dynasty. While fragments of his funerary equipment were discovered, his actual burial site has not been identified. Some speculate it may have been robbed and destroyed in antiquity, while others hope it still lies untouched somewhere in the cliffs of Thebes. These mysteries remind us that ancient Egypt was a land of both grandeur and secrecy. The tombs were designed not only as eternal resting places, but also as fortresses against time and intruders. Many were hidden deliberately, with secret passages and false chambers. This makes the work of modern archaeologists both thrilling and frustrating. Each excavation could be the breakthrough that reveals a forgotten king or queen. One of the most tantalizing cases is the search for the tomb of Pharaoh Imhotep, not a king, but a legendary architect, priest, and physician later worshipped as a god. Ancient texts describe his brilliance, especially as the mastermind behind the step pyramid at Saqqara. yet his burial site has never been found. Archaeologists believe it may still lie hidden somewhere near Saqqara's sprawling necropolis. Discovering Imhotep's tomb would not only be a triumph for archaeology, but could also shed light on one of history's greatest minds. Similarly, the tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep I remains a mystery. Though his mummy was discovered in a royal cache, the exact location of his original tomb has not been confirmed. Ancient robbers may have forced priests to relocate his body, leaving archaeologists today with only fragments of evidence. Finding his true burial chamber could reveal details about early 18th dynasty art and funerary practices. Even more intriguing is the possibility of yet unknown royal tombs in the Western Valley near Luxor. Radar scans and satellite imagery have hinted at anomalies beneath the sand and rock. Could these be entrances to hidden chambers? Egyptologists continue to investigate, driven by the hope that entire dynasties still lie undiscovered. The desert may appear silent, but beneath it could rest answers to some of the greatest riddles of ancient Egypt. The lost tombs are not only about kings and queens. Some of Egypt's most fascinating figures are still missing from history. One striking example is Nefertiti, the queen whose beauty and influence made her legendary. While some scholars believe she may have been buried alongside her husband Akhenaten at Amarna, others suggest her tomb could be hidden within the Valley of the Kings. In 2015, radar scans in Tutankhamun's burial chamber revealed possible hidden doorways. This led to speculation that Nefertiti's tomb might lie directly behind his walls. Although further studies cast doubt, the possibility still excites archaeologists and the public alike. Another mystery surrounds Pharaoh Ramses VII. His reign was short, but as a ruler of Egypt, he would have been granted a grand burial. Yet his tomb has never been conclusively identified. Archaeologists continue to comb through the Valley of the Kings, convinced that more chambers remain buried beneath centuries of rockfalls and sand. The search for these tombs is not only about treasure, it is about uncovering lost chapters of Egypt's history. Each burial chamber serves as a time capsule, preserving art, inscriptions, and artifacts that could change our understanding of ancient life, religion, and politics. The lost tombs are like unopened books, waiting for the world to read their stories. The quest for the lost tombs of Egypt is far from over. Every year, new technology from ground-penetrating radar to satellite mapping offers fresh clues. Archaeologists carefully analyze small details, a crack in a cliff face, an unusual alignment of stones, or even ancient graffiti left by workers. Each hint could point toward an undiscovered royal burial. What makes the search so compelling is that history has already shown us surprises. For centuries, no one expected to find Tutankhamun's intact tomb until Howard Carter's team stumbled upon it in 1922. That discovery proved that treasures of unimaginable value could still lie hidden beneath the sands. If Tutankhamun's tomb survived, perhaps others have too. The lost tombs also carry symbolic power. They remind us of how fragile history is and how much of our past still lies out of reach. Every unopened tomb is a mystery box, a promise of knowledge that could reshape our view of ancient Egypt. Whether it is Cleopatra and Antony's final resting place, Nefertiti's elusive chamber, or the missing pharaohs of the New Kingdom, these tombs remain silent guardians of secrets. Someday, perhaps sooner than we think, one of these tombs will be found. And when that moment comes, the world will once again be spellbound by Egypt's eternal story. Few figures from ancient Egypt capture the imagination like Queen Nefertiti. Her name means, "The beautiful one has come," and she truly lived up to it. Her famous bust, discovered in 1912, remains one of the most iconic images of ancient art. But beyond her beauty, Nefertiti was a powerful queen. She ruled alongside Pharaoh Akhenaten during one of Egypt's most radical and mysterious periods. Together, they introduced a revolutionary form of religion, abandoning Egypt's traditional gods in favor of worshipping a single deity, the sun disk Aten. This bold move shook the foundations of Egyptian society. Some scholars even believe that Nefertiti ruled as pharaoh in her own right after Akhenaten's death, perhaps under another name. Yet, Despite her fame, Nefertiti's final resting place remains one of Egypt's greatest unsolved mysteries. Unlike many royals of her time, no confirmed tomb or mummy has ever been found. For decades, archaeologists have searched the sands of Amarna, the Valley of the Kings, and other ancient necropolises for any sign of her burial. Was her tomb deliberately hidden to protect her from enemies? Was she buried with Akhenaten at Amarna, or separately in a secret chamber in Thebes? Some even suggest her body might already have been discovered but misidentified. Each possibility adds to the intrigue surrounding Egypt's most enigmatic queen. The mystery of Nefertiti's tomb became even more exciting in 2015, when British archaeologist Nicholas Reeves made an astonishing claim. While studying high-resolution scans of Tutankhamun's burial chamber, he noticed faint lines beneath the painted walls. These outlines seemed to suggest the presence of hidden doorways. Reeves proposed that behind those walls might lie an undiscovered chamber, possibly the lost tomb of Queen Nefertiti herself. The idea spread like wildfire. If true, it would explain several puzzles. Why Tutankhamun's tomb is unusually small for a pharaoh, and why some of its decorations appear hastily completed. Perhaps, Reeves suggested, the boy king was buried in an annex of an older tomb originally prepared for Nefertiti. Egyptian authorities launched radar scans to test this theory. Initial results did show anomalies, areas that looked different from solid rock. For a moment, the world held its breath, imagining treasures and secrets hidden for over 30 years. However, later scans produced conflicting data, with some experts arguing that the walls concealed nothing at all. The debate continues to this day. Was it simply wishful thinking? Or is Nefertiti still hidden within Tutankhamun's tomb? The possibility keeps researchers digging deeper, both literally and figuratively, into one of history's most tantalizing riddles. While the Tutankhamun theory captured headlines, other archaeologists believe Nefertiti's tomb may lie elsewhere. Some point to Amarna, the short-lived capital city built by Akhenaten. It was here that Nefertiti lived during Egypt's religious revolution, and it seems logical that she might have been buried near her husband. Excavations at Amarna have revealed royal tombs, but none definitively belonging to the Great Queen. Others look to the Valley of the Kings, where Egypt's New Kingdom rulers were traditionally buried. Radar surveys in nearby areas have identified possible voids, underground, unexplored spaces that could be chambers. Could one of them be Nefertiti's final resting place? There is also the theory that her mummy has already been discovered, but not recognized. In 2003, a controversial claim arose when researchers suggested that an unidentified mummy known as the Younger Lady might be Nefertiti. DNA testing later revealed this mummy was in fact Tutankhamun's mother, making her Akhenaten's wife, but whether she was Nefertiti remains debated. Each new clue adds another layer of mystery. The queen's disappearance may not be accidental. Perhaps her successors deliberately erased her legacy, hiding her tomb to prevent her memory from living on. If so, finding it would be more than an archaeological triumph. It would be an act of restoring her place in history. One of the reasons Nefertiti's tomb is so elusive is the political turmoil of her era. After Akhenaten's death, Egypt quickly abandoned his radical religion and returned to worshipping the old gods. The capital at Amarna was deserted, temples were destroyed, and the royal family's legacy was erased. If Nefertiti was buried there, her tomb might have been deliberately hidden or even desecrated by those who sought to erase her memory. Some scholars believe she may have taken on a new identity near the end of her life. Evidence suggests that Nefertiti could have ruled as pharaoh under the name Neferuaten or even Smenkhare. If true, her burial would have been that of a king, not a queen, making it harder to identify. This theory raises fascinating questions. Have archaeologists already found her tomb, but failed to recognize it because it does not bear her famous name? Meanwhile, new scanning technologies offer hope. Satellite imaging and infrared thermography have revealed unexplored anomalies in the Valley of the Kings. Egyptologists believe some of these could be hidden chambers waiting to be excavated. Could one of these hold Nefertiti? For now, her tomb remains a riddle, wrapped in sand and stone. The closer we get to solving it, the more it seems to slip away, fueling the legend of Egypt's most enigmatic queen. The search for Nefertiti's tomb is more than an archaeological puzzle. It is a journey into the heart of Egypt's golden age. Her story combines beauty, power, and mystery in a way that captivates the world even today. Every discovery related to her, whether a painted fragment at Amarna or a hidden anomaly beneath the Valley of the Kings, sparks global excitement. Why does her tomb matter so much? Because it could answer questions that have haunted Egyptology for over a century. Did Nefertiti rule as pharaoh in her own right? Was she the mother or stepmother of Tutankhamun? What role did she play in the turbulent collapse of Akhenaten's religious revolution? Her burial site, if ever found, might contain inscriptions, treasures, and even her preserved remains that could reveal these long-lost truths. Until then, Nefertiti remains a figure suspended between myth and history. We see her face in the famous bust, eternally youthful and serene. Yet her final chapter is missing. The sands of Egypt guard her secret well, but history teaches us that no tomb stays hidden forever. One day, a sealed doorway may open, and the world may finally step into the lost tomb of the queen who changed Egypt forever, the mysterious and unforgettable Nefertiti. In 1799, during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign, a group of French soldiers made a discovery that would change the world of archaeology forever. Near the town of Rosetta, they uncovered a large, black basalt slab inscribed with mysterious writing. This object, later known as the Rosetta Stone, would become the key to unlocking the secrets of ancient Egypt. The stone contained the same text written in 3 scripts. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs at the top, Demotic, the common script of daily Egyptian life, in the middle, and ancient Greek at the bottom. Because scholars could already read Greek, the stone offered a direct translation guide for the lost language of hieroglyphs. For centuries, hieroglyphs had been a mystery. Medieval scholars believed they were magical symbols or secret codes, not a real written language. The Rosetta Stone revealed the truth. Hieroglyphs were a complex system that combined sound, meaning, and symbols capable of recording history, religion, and daily life. The slab itself is dated to 196 BCE, during the reign of King Ptolemy V. It records a decree honoring the young ruler, but its content was far less important than the clues it provided. For the first time, Egypt's silent monuments had a chance to speak again. After its discovery, the Rosetta Stone quickly became one of the most studied artifacts in the world. But the journey to unlock its secrets was not simple. Scholars across Europe rushed to decipher the mysterious hieroglyphs, sparking a race that would last for decades. Early attempts were full of mistakes. Many believed hieroglyphs were only decorative symbols, with no phonetic value. Others thought they were purely mystical, hiding spiritual codes. The presence of the Greek translation, however, hinted that hieroglyphs must represent real language, not just sacred imagery. A major breakthrough came from Thomas Young, an English scholar, in the early 1800s. By carefully comparing the Greek with the Demotic script, he realized that certain groups of symbols represented the names of rulers, such as Ptolemy. This was the first real step toward understanding the system. Yet the true genius who solved the puzzle was Jean-François Champollion, a brilliant French linguist. Building on Young's work, Champollion discovered that hieroglyphs combine both phonetic sounds and symbolic meanings. His announcement in 1822 marked the birth of Egyptology as a science. With the Rosetta Stone as the key, scholars could finally begin reading temple walls, tomb inscriptions, and papyri that had been silent for millennia. Champollion's breakthrough with the Rosetta Stone was nothing short of revolutionary. By proving that hieroglyphs were not just pictures but also sounds, he opened a doorway into ancient Egypt's lost world. For the first time in over 400 years, humanity could hear the voices of the pharaohs again. The implications were enormous. Hieroglyphic inscriptions covered Egypt's temples, monuments, and tombs. But until the 19th century, they were like silent art. Now, scholars could read royal decrees, religious hymns, and even everyday records written thousands of years ago. What once seemed like mysterious symbols turned into detailed stories of politics, wars, and beliefs. The Rosetta Stone itself became the most famous artifact in the British Museum, where it remains today. Millions visit it each year. Not because the text is poetic or grand, it is essentially a tax decree, but because of its role in unlocking an entire civilization. Champollion's discovery also revealed the incredible complexity of the Egyptian writing system. Over 700 different signs existed, with layers of meaning depending on their position. It was a system of beauty and precision, used for both sacred texts and practical administration. In short, the Rosetta Stone transformed hieroglyphs from an unsolvable puzzle into a living language, bringing ancient Egypt back to life. While the Rosetta Stone unlocked Egypt's ancient voice, its story is also tied to modern struggles of power, empire, and identity. After its discovery by French soldiers, the artifact fell into British hands in 1801, following the defeat of Napoleon's forces in Egypt. By the Treaty of Alexandria, the stone was handed over to the British and shipped to London, where it has remained ever since. For Egypt, however, the Rosetta Stone is more than a scholarly treasure. It is a piece of national heritage. Egyptian authorities have repeatedly called for its return, arguing that it belongs to the land where it was created. To many Egyptians, the stone is not just an artifact, but a symbol of cultural pride and resilience. The debate over the Rosetta Stone reflects larger questions in archaeology. Who owns the past? Should ancient treasures remain in foreign museums, or should they return to their original homelands? These debates continue to spark passionate discussions across the world. Meanwhile, technology has given the Rosetta Stone a new life. High-resolution scans, 3D models, and digital databases now allow researchers everywhere to study it closely, without traveling to London. In this way, the stone's influence has expanded far beyond its physical home, continuing to inspire curiosity and debate. The Rosetta Stone is more than a slab of carved basalt. It is a symbol of humanity's endless quest for knowledge. Without it, the world might still view hieroglyphs as magical drawings, never realizing that they carried the voices of ancient Egyptians across millennia. Thanks to the stone, temples speak, tombs tell their secrets, and papyri reveal forgotten stories of kings, priests, and common people. Its discovery also reminds us of the power of patience and collaboration. Thomas Young's first steps, followed by Champollion's genius, show how knowledge builds layer by layer. One man did not unlock Egypt. Rather, generations of curiosity and effort converged on this single artifact to illuminate a lost world. Today, when millions gaze at the Rosetta Stone in the British Museum, they see more than an ancient decree. They see a bridge across time, a reminder that language connects civilizations, and that no culture is truly gone as long as we can understand its words. In a way, the Rosetta Stone gave ancient Egypt back its voice. And through that voice, the past continues to speak, inspiring wonder, discovery, and respect for one of humanity's greatest civilizations. Beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea lies a city once thought to be only a legend, Heracleion, often called Egypt's Atlantis. For centuries, it was mentioned only in ancient texts and myths, then vanished without a trace. Historians debated whether it truly existed, or whether it was just another lost story of the past. But in the year 2000, divers made a discovery that stunned the world. The ruins of a massive city lying submerged near the mouth of the Nile. What they found was breathtaking. Giant statues of pharaohs and gods, broken but majestic, rose from the seabed. Stone temples, canals, docks, and even everyday objects lay preserved under layers of sand and silt. For over 200 years, the city had been hidden beneath the waves, untouched and waiting to tell its story. In its prime, Heracleion was a bustling trade hub, controlling the gateway between Egypt and the Mediterranean. Merchants from Greece, Phoenicia, and beyond passed through its harbors, bringing not only goods but also cultures and ideas. The city was filled with temples, marketplaces, and monuments that reflected Egypt's wealth and power. But how did such a thriving city sink into the sea? That mystery is what makes Heracleion so fascinating and still unsolved. The fall of Heracleion remains one of history's great mysteries. Archaeologists believe a series of natural disasters may have doomed the city. Evidence shows that the ground beneath it was unstable, built on soft clay and saturated soil. When earthquakes struck or floods swept in, the land may have liquefied, causing entire structures to sink suddenly into the sea. Some records suggest powerful tidal waves also hit the coast during the 1st century BC, further weakening the foundations. Over time, these repeated disasters might have swallowed the city piece by piece until nothing remained above the waves. To the people of the time, it must have felt like divine punishment, fueling the myths that grew around its disappearance. Yet the tragedy also preserved Heracleion in an extraordinary way. The silt that buried its temples and statues shielded them from erosion and looters for more than a millennium. When divers uncovered colossal statues of the god Hapi, inscriptions of royal decrees, and even gold coins, it was like stepping into a time capsule. Heracleion is not just a sunken ruin. It is a frozen moment in history, a snapshot of Egypt's connection with the wider ancient world, sealed away by disaster and rediscovered by chance. What makes Heracleion truly fascinating is not just its dramatic fall, but its role as a cultural and spiritual heart of ancient Egypt. The city was home to a grand temple dedicated to Amun, one of Egypt's most powerful gods. Ancient texts describe how pharaohs would come here to receive blessings before beginning their reigns. The temple itself, now lying in ruins beneath the sea, once dominated the city's skyline with towering columns and massive gateways. Archaeologists also uncovered stone slabs carved with decrees, proving that Heracleion was a vital center of political power. Taxes on trade goods passed through here, making it a wealthy port where merchants from Greece and beyond mingled with Egyptians. The discovery of Greek artifacts, like ships and imported pottery, shows that Heracleion was a crossroads of cultures long before Alexandria rose to fame. Perhaps most intriguing are the dozens of ancient ships found buried in the harbor, over 60 wrecks preserved in the mud. They tell us about shipbuilding techniques, trade routes, and even daily life on the sea. Alongside them were anchors, coins, and ceremonial objects, revealing the city's importance in both commerce and religion. Heracleion was not just a city, it was a gateway, a symbol of Egypt's link between land and sea, gods and people. As divers continued their work in Heracleion, more secrets began to emerge. One of the most striking finds was a massive red granite statue of a queen, believed to represent Cleopatra's ancestors. Nearby, colossal figures of pharaohs and gods were discovered, some weighing over 5 tons, lying broken but still majestic on the seabed. These relics suggest that Heracleion was not only a trade hub, but also a sacred city of ceremonies and royal rituals. Archaeologists also uncovered evidence of religious festivals that once took place here. Every year, statues of the gods would be carried through the canals of Heracleion on sacred boats, reenacting mythical journeys across the Nile. These rituals were meant to renew Egypt's spiritual bond with the divine and reaffirm the pharaoh's authority. Finding the remains of these ceremonial boats underwater gives us a rare glimpse into the living traditions of the time. What amazes scientists is how well these artifacts survived. Hidden under mud and sand for over 1,000 years, delicate objects like jewelry, coins, and even small amulets remain intact. Each discovery adds a piece to the puzzle, telling us that Heracleion was more than a city. It was a stage where politics, trade, and religion merged in spectacular fashion. Today, Heracleion continues to captivate both scientists and dreamers. Though much of the city is still buried under layers of seabed, each new expedition uncovers fragments of its lost glory. Statues, inscriptions, and shipwrecks are slowly pieced together, painting a picture of a city that once rivaled the greatest in Egypt. But Heracleion also carries a warning. Even the mightiest civilizations can vanish when nature strikes. Its sudden disappearance reminds us how fragile human achievements are against the forces of the earth and sea. What once was a thriving metropolis of temples, markets, and festivals now lies silent, preserved in darkness beneath the waves. And yet, its rediscovery proves that history never truly disappears. Heracleion was written off as legend for over 1,000 years, but persistence, technology, and curiosity brought it back to light. Today, it is called Egypt's Atlantis, not because it is fiction, but because it bridges myth and reality. As divers continue to explore, one thing is certain: Heracleion still has stories left untold. Perhaps the greatest discoveries are yet to come, waiting patiently beneath the waters of the Mediterranean. From the towering pyramids to the mysterious Sphinx, from hidden chambers to sunken cities beneath the sea, we have journeyed through 10 of Egypt's greatest mysteries together. Each story reminds us that history is not just about what we know, but also about the countless secrets still waiting to be uncovered. The sands of time may bury monuments, and the sea may swallow entire cities, yet the past always finds a way to speak to us. These incredible discoveries show us the brilliance, creativity, and resilience of one of the world's oldest civilizations. But they also leave us with questions that inspire curiosity, debate, and exploration even today. Perhaps the next great secret of Egypt is still hidden, waiting for explorers like you to discover. If you enjoyed this journey through history's most fascinating mysteries, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Chronicle Voyage and become part of our growing community of explorers and dreamers. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a new adventure, and share this series with friends who love history and mystery as much as you do. This is not the end of the voyage, it's only the beginning. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring with us.